So in 2 years of me starting my own business, I get a call from Vodafone saying that they were starting a mobile company in Kenya. Don't forget, there was no mobile industry at all in Kenya. There was a very small one. I think some of us had the really big, handsets that were about 250,000 shillings or whatever it was that Telkom had. But here was Vodafone coming in with this new brand, Safaricom. And I pitched for the business and, I won it, which was really very, very exciting from the time they got their license and before Michael Joseph came, actually. So we started handling them. And about 6 months into the contract, Michael arrived. And so, of course, one of the first things that he was going to do when he got here was come to our office to meet the PR company that they had chosen. And he drove up to our office on Dennis Pritt. We had a really terrible, terrible road. And he got there. He's not the most patient of people, but he got there completely unimpressed, which didn't help. I mean, he got there and he said, so what the hell is a PR company with such a terrible road going to do for us? We've got this great brand coming and what are you going to do? And I was like quite taken aback. And we sat down and we talked about what I thought needed to be done, not just for Safaricom, but for the mobile industry that he was pioneering. And then what Michael needed to do to invest in the persona, because Michael was definitely going to become the brand as the CEO of Safaricom. And so we had a really great discussion, and I think it was really about the local knowledge is what inspired him, that we were the right partner. And so we began this incredible, incredible journey. And it was a 12-year journey that I had with Safaricom, which I have to say was everything that you could probably get out of, you could have like 50 different clients teaching you the lessons that Safaricom taught me, and we were all learning as we went along. Safaricom was learning, Michael was learning, Gina was learning. It was just a learning process, and we fed off each other. We grew together. I remember, getting Michael to go to Kibera, and he was like, why the hell do I have to go there? And I said, well, Michael, these are the guys that are going to buy your phones. The corporate market is not big enough for what you want to do. And so we would have Michael out at Kibera, and he was very reluctant initially, but soon he really he just got to understand it. He got to absolutely love Kenya. And of course, his famous peculiar calling habits quote was there. But there were just so many different facets to the Safaricom account. There was, building the brand, there were the openings, there were the launches, there were the crisis of when the network would completely fail. There were just 1,000,001 lessons. And I have to say that, that my 6:30 in the morning calls with Michael every single day, by which time I'd have had to have read the paper, analyzed it, and decided a way forward. And that was, before the digital revolution, where we would just have to make a plan every single day. And Michael and I, our relationship was not very easy to start with, because he was a very impatient man. He knew he had a vision. And sometimes that vision could not be articulated very well here, because he just couldn't find the people that could see where he wanted to take this brand. And so he would be impatient, and I'm not the most patient of people. So Michael and I would butt heads very often. We would scream at each other and call each other names. But out of that, we built a really strong relationship, a strong friendship. I looked up to him as a mentor. I looked up to him to be a visionary, and I looked up to him to say, unless it's excellent, don't put it out there, because that's what Michael taught me. If the work wasn't excellent, he would rubbish it. And so we became as a team very, very careful that if Michael was going to be in that room, the work better be excellent. It better be visionary, because otherwise he will diss you so badly that you're going to go into your corner and cry. And so, having done that a few times as well, we just upped our standards as an organization. He lifted the bar. He lifted the bar for me as a person, but for the PR industry. I think, Michael and Safaricom totally lifted the bar of what was expected out of an agency. And I'm very grateful that I was able to learn from him. I still learn from him. I mean, even now, I'll call him and say, Michael, what do you think about this? And I think in his own way, Michael learns from me too. I mean, he'll call me and say, Gina, I have this problem. What do you think I should do? So it's been one of those great relationships that is built through sometimes through adversity and through challenges. But it's when you realize the strengths in that other person, that other person is able to give you a skill set that you don't necessarily have. Not all of us know everything. Not all of us are everything. everybody needs a different skill set. And I brought a skill set to Michael that he didn't have. And he brought a skill set to me to grow my business and to lift the standard of what we did as an organization, because he had a completely different skill set. And so it was a learning experience for me. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Safaricom. I see it as my baby, my brand. Every time I see the name, I feel very personally responsible for everything that happens to the brand, whether they're my client or not. I'm totally invested in them as something that I helped to build. I still consider, M-Pesa. I remember the M-Pesa story and how there was no legislation around it and how we launched it anyway. We had the governor of the central bank at that time, the minister for communications at that time, and we just launched M-Pesa. The banks were up at arms, but you know what? Look at the success. Look at the revolution M-Pesa has created in this country. Look at the number of people that were previously unbanked that are able now to transact business because of M-Pesa. And I think those are the lessons that Michael taught me, is that, it doesn't matter if it's never been done before. It's okay, let's do it. And I learned a lot from that. It's that if you don't have, just because it's never been done does not mean that you can't be the first to do it. And somehow legislation will follow. Things will follow and make it fall into place. So, I truly value my relationship with Safaricom. I think I helped to build that brand. I take it as mine. And I think Michael Joseph is just a great, great guy. And it's wonderful that Bob came after him. Bob, a completely different person. I loved my time working with Bob. He brought a new energy to Safaricom. He's been hugely successful in building Safaricom to what it is now. It's so exciting that M-Pesa is going to go right across the continent and enable, what Kenyans have enjoyed for the last 10 years, for other Africans to be able to suddenly transact business using a mobile phone is absolutely amazing. It's now so much more than just a piece of equipment that you make a call from. It's just become everything in that one mobile device, and it's very exciting to have been one of the people that were there from the very beginning.